for a few minutes here as things get going, because rolling ads and things of that nature, who knows.
Yeah.
So we get to chat about stuff tonight before we get started, so we can work through the advertisements.
Yay, advertisements. But at least these you've selected. Ooh, mute that.
Have I?
Well, you should have.
I don't know if I get to select ads. Do I get to select ads?
You can select whether you roll them or not.
But
you need to go through your affiliate stuff, go through your channel info. You can go play with your ad settings.
I was just all about, like, I just said, oh, here's stuff for money. And so I wanted money.
And you're like, I'm turning everything on.
Yeah, all of it. Yep. As Kevin Brown says, howdy, y'all. Do as your Twitch overlords say. Well, Bradford's here, so the show's over.
That's it. We're done.
And we will bring on the countdown, the 30-second countdown. And then you all get to hear me. The people on the other end of this show don't get to see us all dancing while the countdown's going on. I feel so sad, though, that my last countdown was so underappreciated by most people. So. And we're back. We're all still here. Hi, Bradford.
Hello.
How you doing?
Skating in there just in the nick of time.
Well, I couldn't find the link.
He hit it. He's like,
I hit it in plain sight. Welcome in, everybody. It is Thursday night.
To find it.
Oh wait, no, it's not. Wait, it's not Thursday night. It's Friday Eve. Welcome to Friday Eve, everybody. Everybody, this is your pre-weekend celebration. This is your pre-weekend party. I am James O'Hagan. I am the Director of Digital Virtual Learning. And to my left,
I'm Carrie Linden.
Right.
But just directly in front of me. I'm Carrie Linden, otherwise known as Chuck Muju. I'm the communication specialist for Liminal Esports. I'm an ex-middle school teacher, and I've got a background in gaming and content creation.
And then below me.
Oh, okay. So it's going.
You're below me today.
Yeah. Pressure.
I'm below you today. Hey, it is pressure. Hey, everybody! It is. It's 6:30. It's 6:32.
6:32.
I'm Bradford. I am from Houston, Chief Learning Officer for Sept, Texas Scholastic Esports Federation, and I am the Chief Learning Officer and Coordinator of Digital Innovation from Houston. That's a mouthful.
Yes, there's a lot there. And down over here in this direction is...
I'm Danielle Johnson from Dallas, Texas. I am a middle school technology and design teacher in Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD. And I do all the paperwork for TechSF.
All of it?
Yes.
All of it.
There's a lot of, that I just did a podcast interview with Mike Dolly, and we were talking about the formation of our association. And it was like, all the things you've done to build this, what is the things that you didn't expect to have happen? It's like all of it. Like, we never expected have to do any of these things. We thought, hey, we could just start an association, and we're going to have some games, and we're going to pick our games, and we're going to schedule them. It's so easy, right? No, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So I know that you all are probably, this is your launch, right? Have you guys launched already, or did you hold off?
Our league play starts the first Tuesday in October. So we have a couple more weeks. I'm actually having my first interest meeting next Tuesday. I'm super excited.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to turn on the Esports EDU chat branding. I had left on my Academy of Esports brand.
There we go.
Why didn't you say that?
I saw that. I noticed that too. Like,
I had all this headroom, and I was like, wow, this is kind of cozy in here.
I could just move you. I could just put you over here and just make it weird.
But now I feel out of place. Yeah, there we go. Put me back in my corner.
Danielle, do you feel like you should be on the other side?
I don't usually know where I am.
Oh, okay. You're right here.
I'm usually like,
I am
I don't
attached
care.
to my spot. It's like that chair in the room that you just always sit in. If I get moved around, it just feels weird.
I want to just bring notice that Steve Isaacs is in chat tonight, and Steve,
Don't do
I
what I
can't.
did.
What?
Steve has back to Zoom
Back to
night,
school? Yeah.
and
Well-
he's not going to accidentally leave an F-bomb in
Oh,
his video.
right. Yeah.
But
Dropping
I
the
want to
F-bombs.
bring special
Yeah.
attention to some of the work that he has done with Mike Washburn and the people from NASEF and the people from Rube Goldberg, because they did launch this week the Minecraft Rube Goldberg competition. I can't tell you how many of my kids were excited, and families, when they found out there was the at home, which allows parents to be participants with their children in this, especially for some of our kindergarten, first and second graders who are all, when they heard about this, they're like, oh yeah, we're in.
Yeah.
Like, do you even know what it's about? Like, no, but we're in. So cool.
Somebody put a link in the chat.
Yes, we shall.
Oh,
Hold
there.
up. Hold up.
He got it.
I could do one better. Is there one there? Oh yes, Kevin Brown put it in because
Kevin already
Brown
did
has,
it.
Kevin has the he's got carte blanche. Kevin can drop F-bombs if he wanted to. Not that I'm encouraging him to do that. He has that power. So yeah,
Who
here
will
is
mod the mod?
Here is the info on the contest. And as you can see, you can register your team here. And there's even the team guide. I highly recommend taking a look at that team guide because there's great stuff in there. A lot of rules, a lot of help, a lot
In
of
various
assistance.
languages. He I would like to add. Thank you, Kevin.
Oh, yes, in various
it's available in
languages.
multiple languages.
Yes.
In our bilingual state of Texas, that is very important.
Yes. Oh, and Sam Anton tells Kevin not to drop any foul language, but Sam Anton, I believe, also has the abilities to do that as well. And we know Sam; she can be trouble. So, all right. So nothing happened this week, right?
No, it was another week of nothing.
Just another week, another quiet week. Oh no, wait,
Super.
it's not exactly that at all, is it?
No,
not
really.
Because we have this lovely little thing, which if you all have not checked it out yet, you might have seen some of the snippets, you might have seen some of the clips. I will put the link in the chat here for everybody. This is a study. Is a qualitative study. Now, there's a difference between qualitative and quantitative, so you need to understand that, because a lot of people cited first off that this study only looked at 21 collegiate programs. When we're looking at qualitative studies, 21 is actually a pretty good number because you're not going for numbers so much as trying to understand reason and why. It's not just the what. So it's a lot more of analysis of not things that easily crunch into numbers, but looking for patterns, for reasons, based off interviews. And those interviews sometimes can either be fixed or they can be open. I, working on my dissertation work, have done a lot of open coding when it comes to qualitative studies, which means I just basically take everything as it is and parse it all out. I'm not fixed on what I'm looking for right away. And Dr. O'Hagan has entered the building. I'm not a doctor yet. Don't call me that, Sam. That is not a good thing. But let's look at this study because I think there's some. Carrie and I were talking about this before everybody else got here tonight. And I think that there are some people who I think are genuinely upset by this study. I think that there are some people who see it as a call to action. I think that there's some people who feel like their program is being misconstrued or misunderstood. Yeah. There's a lot to this study that needs to be looked at and addressed. Have you all
unpack?
Yeah. So I hate using that phrase. I hate unpack.
There's a lot to highlight and debate.
Yes, there is definitely a lot of that.
Or to digest. Educate me on this because I don't know.
Well, what they found in this study was that basically looking at 21 different collegiate level esports programs, both clubs and varsity programs. So varsity program being more like, hey, we're formalized esports. We have our uniforms and our teams and our league and our matches are all set, versus club, which is, again, we've talked about our gaming clubs in schools. It's much more open. It's much more free flowing. It's much more less focused on the, I guess, professional experience, if you will, they have found that when you go into these varsity level experiences, that you tend to then reduce inclusivity, you reduce the equity of access, you reduce a lot of things that we think make esports so beautiful and different in the high school, middle school, and elementary scene when you do it at the collegiate level. And I think it is something that definitely needs to be looked at and understood as to why.
So why?
Why what? Why we need to look at this?
No. Why are they less inclusive?
Well,
What
again,
happens?
I think that, so looking at the study, and I did put this up on Twitter, and I did get some very interesting pushback. I think some of the pushback was, again, looking at, some people at the collegiate scene saw this as being biased towards clubs, that they felt that there was a bias towards clubs.
Right.
I think that what we're facing at the collegiate scene, and I think we have a part to play in this, is that in the collegiate scene, again, you have these varsity programs who make very big splashy announcements. They make they say, look at our arena, look at our team, look at our resources. When really a lot of times it's one person running a single club. They're very poorly paid. They're trying to copy what UCI, for example, has done, but they can't copy UCI because they don't have the resources to do it. And I think when you have 50 million hats that you have to wear, being a coach, being a program director, having to run the space, having to do outreach, that some things go by the wayside. And I think a lot of it goes by the wayside because they haven't put, like in our program, we said, I want our our teams to look like our high school, a cross section of our high school.
Right.
I don't think that happens necessarily at the collegiate level. It's something that when I talk about what do you want your teams to look like, what do you want your esports experience to be, whatever you launch with, you will become responsible forever for what you have tamed. So in this case,
Correct.
If they launch with the focus on being, let's get the program going, let's get the computers in, let's get the games picked out, that's what they're going to have.
Right.
And the club experience, again, very different than what the varsity experience is, because again, it is more free, it is more open. They can be more on the fly changing in things like that. But it shouldn't be so bad for people to point this out. I think it's important to note this.
Yeah, and I think that's, like, to me, when this came across my feed, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. Nothing that is written in the study is surprising. I think it's all things that we sort of see, when you start amping up the competitiveness, there tends to be, like, the pitches tend to be just more masculine and aggressive. The game choice narrows down to, games that tend to be mirrored in the pro scene. That doesn't necessarily speak to a lot of inclusiveness. There's just, it's a lot of little things that make it, it narrows down the focus. I think, to me, what was more concerning is the fact that people have a negative reaction to it. It's like, and getting defensive about it. It's like, okay, people are pointing out that your particular area of the industry is still very, cis white male dominated. We all know this. Like, it's not like you can look around a room and be like, but you're wrong. Like, and I'm not saying that there aren't programs that you could look around a room and be like, okay, look, we got a ton of women in here and we got a lot of, racial diversity in here. I just don't think there's very many of them. Like, I really don't think there is. Like, I don't think that's the norm.
What's so surprising is in this article is that they do bring up very clearly the Any Key report called Diversity and Inclusion in Collegiate Esports, which I've referenced many times before as well, because it has 12 very clear and distinct things that you should do to make sure that you have a inclusive program. And let me see if it's just has the list here, and they may not. I actually here, well, I did a much better list. Hold up here just a second. I'll pull it up here. But I think it's amazing how that report's been out since 2019, and a lot of people are kind of like surprised. like, well, what should we do? It's like, well, he wrote you out a whole list of things.
But that's because people don't want to do it. Because doing it means having your numbers drop. It means putting in effort and having things shift and change. It means doing the hard work. And people don't want to do that. Like,
it means you might lose.
Well, that's it. It's like your numbers are going to drop. Your rankings are going to go down. Like you're going to have to tear everything to the ground and rebuild it back up. People don't want to do that. They also don't want to admit that they're part of the problem. I mean,
every time I've asked, and I ask at every opportunity when I'm with esports professionals, is I ask, how do we include more women and girls in esports? Yep. And the response that I get overwhelmingly is, oh, as it becomes more accessible, more girls will just naturally
that's BS.
The ranks.
It's BS. We know
it's not purposeful.
That's good. At least you got an answer, because usually I get a quiet response.
But I think you have to get answered. It's like when you're the woman asking the question, I think you kind of pin people into giving you an answer, but you don't get a good answer. You get the pat on the head answer. Like we're not really going to don't worry. And then
we never get to rebut. Like I get to ask my question, they get to answer, and I don't get to follow up with follow up. That's BS.
I'll bulldog
Well, I'm sorry. You actually. Well, I'm sorry. You actually get the good female response. I don't get a black male or black female response. I don't get that kind of response at all, because I know.
I think they don't know. They don't even know it's not that it's not a problem, but they don't realize that we're dealing you have to have a cultural shift, and you have to purposefully do things that are not natural to you.
It takes
you didn't come up with it, like you have to learn and be humble about it, and then implement it. It's work. Like she said, it's work.
And it's going to be work that you're going to get kickback against, because if you're trying to create space for a population that isn't currently in your program, you're going to be asking your program and those players in that community to change for people that aren't around them at that moment. And that's going to be really hard. People don't like doing things to make life better for people that they're not already connected to. Like, it's hard enough getting people to make change, to make life better for the people they are connected to, let alone do it to just arbitrary people that aren't even there yet, that aren't at the table. Like, it's just challenging, because...
And as educators, that's what we do. We always are thinking about other people's children. Like we don't often put our own kids first, even like now. My son's at home with his dad, and I'm at school teaching other children. But like we have that mindset, which I think is why when Team Unicorn said that we need it in elementary, not just one or two there, we just need more teachers involved. I think because we do think about the whole group.
More teachers, but we need more teachers that have an equity focus, because I can tell you right now, having taught in a school that had a large Hispanic population, there were plenty of really racist teachers that I taught with who, I look at the kids that they taught and they did them a horrible disservice. And by the time those kids hit middle school, they were screwed. And it was mainly because the teachers wrote them off, and they wrote them off because of the color of their skin. And that sucks. So it's not just being an educator. Like you got to be an educator that believes in equity across the board, and not just for people that look like you.
And that's why our state educator-based organizations are so important, because we're in it for the kids. And I feel that, what do you guys feel? Like, I feel that the group of esports educators that we have formed as like our community, I feel like we are all pretty equity minded, and I really appreciate that.
I think it's also some of the organizations, collegiate or in the public sector, they get this sum of money and they have to hurry up and spend it. At least from my experience. So, and they always want to outbeat the school. Well, this school is doing this, so we have to outbeat it. So we're not worried about the most diverse or who has the best equipment. We just got to stay on top. And so from my personal experience, I actually have to thank the people who actually like all of you guys and the people in my district who said, okay, well, let's slow down, and you don't have any money. You don't have this. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's almost better to say, like for example, like these past couple of weeks when teachers have asked me, well, what equipment are we going to get? You ain't getting no equipment. And I've told them flat, you're not getting anything. And they go, what do you mean? You're not getting anything. You need to worry about how you're going to develop your program under me.
Right.
I'm going to give you the guidelines to help, but you got to get the people to come in. You just can't say, well, it's easy. You just can't put a poster on a wall and say esports, come on down.
Right.
You got to put some work.
A lot of people will tell you that that's the way to do it.
Yeah, it's exactly how that happens, right?
Starting with the equipment.
It's the most important part, right? I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's sad. Like, and I think about all the conversations that I've had with men, just even in the esports EDU community, that are unbelievably tone deaf when it comes to issues regarding women in the industry. Like, you know, part of it is, yeah, they don't get it. Like a lot of people don't get it. Think of how many articles we see that are written from, you know, straight white men, like talking about inclusiveness or diversity. Think of how many panels are fielded by straight white men talking about diversity and inclusion. And it's like, if this is the only voice
here. Keep going.
you're hearing, like, you're obviously not wanting to do the work. Like, just sitting here and going diversity and inclusion, like that's not work. That's being a mouthpiece. And that's not even getting on a soapbox and saying anything meaningful. Like, you actually have to go out and put yourself out there, and you've got to create change, and you got to bring other voices in. Like, if you're sitting and talking to women about what the experience is like in the gaming sector, then none of this should be a surprise. None of this should be shocking, and it shouldn't be offensive. You shouldn't see this study and be like, but my program. You should be like, yeah, like, we got work to do. Like, that should be the response. The response
That's the
should
problem,
be
is the response.
Yeah.
It's never the
Ironic
issue,
that
it's
I
always
used
the
the
response.
my man. I know it was I used the my man on that one because I was
That's
like, whoo. But yeah, you know, it isn't just that. It's people, again, who were getting into the scholastic esports scene, writing about the experience of our children or writing about the teacher experience, and never taught a day in their life.
Yeah.
Have never
We
set
don't
foot
like
in a
outsiders.
school. What? And getting speaking gigs and spots to tell me what you're going to, I don't know, how do we say this? Edu-splain me about the educator experience.
That's the best.
Edu-splain me. Hey, person who hasn't worked in a school in 20 years.
All the time,
Hey, edu celebrity,
like,
keep edu-splaining me how I
everything.
should be doing things in this day and age.
it would be so much easier if you just did this.
Okay, is Edu-splain available?
I
as a
don't.
URL?
Should we have hashtag
Like-
edu-splain?
It just needs to be a thing. Like,
She's
Somebody-
already got the domain
you
purchased.
know, like it might, like the stuff that's
somebody
like,
who
why
knows what
is my
they're
kid
doing, who's watching
crying?
this on Twitch, clip this, highlight this, put this out there. Edu-splain me. Yeah. Edu-splain me. Edu-splain me about just how important this is for our kids who we work with every day. We know where they live. Look, even in my virtual program, I have made so many home visits this week. I have made so many visits to deliver materials. I've had to make calls to DCFS based off some of the things I've seen this week with some of these families. Don't come and tell me what my experience is. Don't tell me what because just because you went to high school or a college, or because your mom, dad, aunts, uncles are all teachers. My father is a literal rocket scientist who worked in the Apollo space program and helped design the F-14 Tomcat. Don't ask me to go build a rocket or build an airplane. It'll crash and burn.
I mean, that's the hard part is people have kids. So, like, well, I have kids. Like, yeah, but do you have like 38 of them? Do they all have various levels of reading and math and comprehension and like emotional stability? Like, where are we here? it's hard. Like people don't get it. Like there's this idea, especially in the United States, that essentially teachers are like babysitters, and babysitters, like that's something you can wrap your head around. That's something like we can all do, right? Like they don't ever stop and think that teaching is, it's dealing with social emotional issues. It's dealing with mental health issues, because let's face it, a lot of our students are not diagnosed, and we have some pretty extreme disorders and conditions that are starting to become present in children. We're dealing with just interpersonal relationships of 34 people in a room. I'm sorry, but
If you're
when's the
lucky.
last time you as an adult, I was going moderate, I was going the low end of like
Okay.
middle school stuff. When's the last time you as an adult had to be in the same room with that many people for 9 months and have not like hurt somebody? Like
For
we
a
don't
third,
even,
for a third of their day. For a third of your
we
day.
don't even do that. So you're the adult that has to manage all of this. Well, they're going through puberty, they're not being fed at home, they're being, like there's, and in the middle of this, you've got to develop content, but you don't have a prep period, so don't worry about that. Oh, but do you have bus duty after school? You probably do. And don't plan on peeing during snack break because you got yard duty on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Oh, and then it's even great when the teacher next door to you like doesn't show up to school and there's no subs available, because that happens. So now all of a sudden you're in charge of 2 classrooms. Yeah, like things happen. Like it's not. And in the whole process of this, you're supposed to have kids test really great on all the curriculum that you're supposed to teach in a scope and sequence, which means you can't just teach standards like at the pace that your class is moving. No, your district wants to make sure that you touch every single standard at a particular time and date within a year.
And they're a year or two behind, and you got to catch them up.
Right? Like it's just it. Sorry, I did that.
Sorry for what?
It kills me. It's like
I wish there's some people.
I wish there's more people
who heard that. There needs to be more people who hear that, who hear what you just said, who again are stepping into this space naive, thinking they know it and can fix it. Yeah. It's like, I know Kevin Brown wrote F-bomb alert. I'm not gonna, I'm not. Did I drop one? I don't think I did.
I didn't.
No, you didn't. You almost. Okay, I can tell your lips are about to do it.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? For $64 a kid, we'll give you esports.
Yeah, it's hard. Like to think that
I don't want esports. I want good kids. I want good relationships with kids. I want good experiences for kids. I don't want esports.
It's this cluster, because you have this misconception of what teaching is, and you have a misconception of what esports is. Like esports isn't just playing on your Nintendo for an hour. Like it's a completely different intensity. It's a completely different environment. It's complicated, and it's especially complicated right now. And unfortunately, we do have a lot of people. We have a lot of people that have experience in one aspect of it that are trying to make the jump into the education side of it. And we've talked about this. I feel like it comes up a lot. Like the pro esports world is not the same as the educational esports world.
You're exactly right.
We have totally different constraints that we have to function within. So if you're coming from over here and you're trying to tell us how to do it, you're completely missing the point. You're missing the IEPs. You're missing, the free and reduced lunches. You're missing, the kids that are spending half their day in an ED classroom. Like you're missing so much. Like there's just so much
and let's be clear, and not to have a big head about it. Everybody can't do it. And the reason why I say that, because I was approached by my friend, and I had to make some decisions on who was going to be a part of my pilot program or not. And there was an administrator that said, if you get it, I want you to get once you get trained, which I don't know what that means. Once you get trained, then I want you to implement it on our campus, and then I want everybody to do it. And I looked at my friend. I said no. I said, first, so what does that mean? So you want the librarian to do it? You want the PE person to do it? You want the secretary to do it? You want the math person to do it? You want the science person to do it? So and my own director was like, that person has no idea or concept of what this is. First off, we're doing it as an after school club.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you're exactly right. This is all new. I don't know. Let's be honest, I don't know what I'm doing. We're working this as we go. That's why you call it a pilot, to fix all the hiccups. There is no, we talked about this. There's no one-stop shop. So, but this person, bless this person's heart, wanted to have it implemented in one set PD training and then pushed out to everything. But that's how some people are. Once you get that package, now I'm ready to push it out to everybody like some type of software.
That's how some districts are. Yeah.
It's almost hard. They didn't ever, well, clearly some of them have never taught, but like they don't remember teaching. You know, I feel like people have teacher amnesia, or maybe they just repress it. I don't know.
Repress it.
But
probably that one.
It's like, you know that you can't give instructions one time in August and expect them to be followed until May. It's like, why would you think adults are any different? Oh, I know what it is. Okay, so part of the issue. Have you guys ever heard the word andragogy?
Hold on, I gotta look it up. Did you say andragogy?
Andragogy, not androgyny, andragogy.
All right, hold up. Found it. The method and practice of teaching adult learners.
Different than pedagogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally different field.
Yeah.
That most people that teach adults have not been trained in. We've just been promoted to our level of incompetence.
I think most people, especially if you're in the pro circuit, have never experienced, you've never experienced sitting in front of your classroom, having a due date on your whiteboard, having a due date on the calendar, having a due date on the task board, having a due date on the paper, having a due date taped to everybody's desk, starting every morning with the due date, and then having people be like, well, I didn't know when the assignment was due. It's literally in 35 different locations, from the point you're standing in. You can see it in 35 different places, and it came out of my mouth 18 times today.
And you took a quiz over it.
Right? No, but that's teachers, it doesn't faze you because that's why you have it in 35 different places, because for every child in that room, one of those spots is going to be the spot that they're eventually going to find and have it be like, oh yeah, Friday. It's just,
and here's the thing too. Let's just go back to this really quickly.
Yeah.
All right. So there's the two. Okay, let me do this. There's the report itself, which said, that we're basically developing these 2-tier systems of esports at the collegiate level. Mm-hmm. I will take responsibility at the high school level to say we are setting up systems that are pro-like. But as I asked on a panel today, I said, how many of you built your systems to develop pro esports players? None of them have. And so I said, so why would you then want a pro player experience? Why are you trying to create this pro player experience? What is it about that makes it so appealing? And for me, again, our mission, vision, values, and goals of our program, none of it is about pro play. So I don't. Would it be
too bold of me to say, because we're coming from a very masculine perspective of the sport in general?
I think that there is that, but I think it's also that there's these recommendations that have been out there for over a year now, almost 2 years. They're sitting us right here in the face and nobody's looking at them. Nope. Well, I am, but I mean, there's very few people who look at this and go, well, I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas to get girls into our teams. But here's
they've tried.
They're trying. Usually, we put up a flyer and we'll let them join. Great.
Yeah, okay, I love that phrase. We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas. And here's the other thing too that was important in that story. It was looking not just at diversity from a racial standpoint or a gender standpoint, because they said, even that there is a tendency right now that diversity is becoming to one level. It's becoming male versus female at this. And we know that level and layers are going to be so much bigger. And we know too, as colleges are picking up more of this, and I keep seeing these stories, esports is going to be the big savior for college. It's going to be the big savior for college. guess what? Title IX. You are, if you keep saying that, guess what? Title IX is going to bite you in the ass, and it's not going to let go, because Title IX does not let go very easily.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the show. We're all fired. Sorry.
If I wasn't fired
I'm
for
good.
my Meet the Teacher video, I'm not going to get fired.
From your what the video? Oh, that's
My
right.
Meet
You
the
had a,
Teacher video, then
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
But
Yeah,
see,
you
I don't understand why they think this, what esports or whatever the new tool is going to save the children or save.
we're always looking for.
They've been saying that for
always
laser discs were supposed to save
Wait.
education, guys.
This is going to sound awful.
Laser
If I say it. This is going to sound awful when I say it. The irony of the statement is we are looking for the silver bullet to save the children. We're always looking for the silver bullet to save the children.
But look where we're at right now. Look where we're at right now. I'm just going to say it. Look where we're at right now. And I'm not calling any district out by any means, but we have students who are not even on their virtual platforms learning right now.
Oh yeah.
They're not learning. I'm not saying they don't care. They're just not learning or struggling or whatever. It's just whatever right now. And I'm not even blaming COVID right now. They're just not on.
I mean,
and teachers are dealing with what did my friend call it? Technology fatigue. No matter what learning management system that you're no matter what learning management system you're on, it's team too much. Nobody's plan is very strong, and different districts are going rogue and doing what they want to do, and nobody has, I'm not going to say the perfect plan, but everybody's implementation is flawed. But
I need a week off. I need a week off.
We need more than a week off.
Every 6 weeks, we need
somebody
a week
to
off,
go on. We need somebody to go on TV and say, you know what, this education system is really not working.
But it wasn't working. And that's the problem, is the American education system wasn't working before COVID, and now we've completely switched, and now it's really not working. And like, there needs to be an intense simplification. Like, if I look at how many digital platforms that exist that my child and me as a parent have to interact with on a day-to-day basis in order for him to pass, it's crazy. And they keep adding more. It's like, no, do everybody a favor and simplify. Like, get schools together, have a whole district be on the same page, talk to the schools that are funneling into yours. Like, now's the time to be making plans to make things easier on everybody, not harder. And but I mean, that I can't tell you, like,
to plan for like how you're going to do forest management while you're fighting a forest fire.
But the problem is it's not like, even when we're not in that point, we don't do a good job of planning anyways. Like, when we were all getting ready for the next generation science standards, I was teaching science. I can't tell you how many PDs.
Oh my God, I need that sound effect.
How many PDs I went to?
Thomas Dolby. Sorry, go on.
How many PDs I went to where they covered the exact same lesson plan, and that was it. If I had to see somebody trying to discover what knot went through what hole on a plastic tube one more time, I was going to chuck the tube at the presenter's head. Mm-hmm. Nothing was taught about the standards. Nothing was taught about how to take what you already know how to teach and rip it apart and present it in a next-gen way. Nothing was done with that. We spent 2 years going to the same PD like twice a quarter, and we learned nothing. So when the standards dropped and people were required to teach them, nobody had a freaking clue what they were doing, except those of us that actually went and got our degrees and our credentials while the whole transition was happening. Because, you know, they had years and they trained everybody, but they didn't train anybody on anything of any substance that allowed them to do anything with the information that we had.
Steve popped back in and he said we have the opportunity to break everything down and build it back up. I oversee, again, virtual learning program, right? The research is already there on what we could have been doing. And a lot of it is, you know, people are putting kids in front of computers for 6 hours a day. My virtual learning program has been, for the last 5 years, almost completely asynchronous. Yeah. We have built it. If you want a model, where did James get the model from for this? It is from Sugata Mitra's work on the School in the Cloud. If you have not looked at the TED Talk by Sugata Mitra on the School in the Cloud, check it out. The key aspect for that and what makes our virtual program different is it isn't just the material that we expect them to learn, but it's how we interact with the students in the virtual environment. And it does not involve me sitting there with 30 kids having a lecture for an hour or even having a check-in time. My check-in time with my students, what makes them successful week after week, is a 10-minute conversation that I have with them once a week to, in a growth mindset perspective, look at where are you at right now. Let's look honestly where you are at right now. You may have sloughed off all last week, and that's totally fine. Where are you at right now? Where do we need to be next week? And how are we going to get there? And tell me about what's going on. I am not a teaching teacher. I'm your mentor. I'm your guide. I tell them too, I'm also their bouncer. If they have anybody's giving any problems, I will go into the community and take care of them for them. But it's so different. It's so different than what we're trying to do. We're just basically, if you want to use SAMR model, oh my God, I hate talking about SAMR.
Oh my God, please don't say that. That makes me want to vomit. I will write my dissertation on how much I hate the SAMR model. No, it is a SAMR phenomenon. It is not has no predictive value. It should not be called a model. And
it was written by a guy who's a chemistry teacher, Ruben Fuentedera. That's it. Wrote it all. It's all BS. But if you want to, let's use that as a common language thing. Where we're at right now with virtual learning, which is disgusting me, is we are at the substitution level. We are literally taking what we did before and saying, oh, let's just do it over here.
Yeah.
And now we're going to put kids in front of computers in their home. So why even come back? Why even come back if we're doing it now?
It's tripping me out too, because like, it's not like most of us, I feel like a lot of us have taken online learning courses. Like even at the university level, if you take a course online, it's not like this. So
we would never stand for this.
No, and that's what trips me out. It's like as all this stuff's getting
there's a disconnect.
Like, I've learned online. Why are we thinking that these kids that are even younger than us as adults are going to be able to do this when there's no way? No. Like I feel bad for my kid. Like no. Like it's a train wreck what's happening. And yeah,
I could put my calendar up on here so everybody can see what I do as the director of the program. And just how much student interaction I have. I have an interaction with almost every student in our program on a weekly basis. Again, for 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes tops. And an outcomes email. I put an outcomes email to them and all the teachers.
But like, so when I was in the classroom, I had a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade combo class. So I saw pretty much everybody for at least 3 years. When you have that much diversity, like you don't do a whole lot synchronous. Like a lot of it's asynchronous. And so, we had conferences. So there was like a good 5-minute chunk of a day where you got to sit and we would go through everything that you've been working on and do progress check-ins. And then, I might see you at a particular conversation or a particular slideshow, but I may not. Like there were some kids that hardly ever sought me out personally, while there were others that were almost constantly like needing direct instruction. So for me, like, making that transition to digital, it makes sense because I was never the sage on the stage. I never had my entire class focused on me at the same time for very, very often. Like certain things we would do it, but most of the time it was very open and free form.
I love my stage time. So
that's not how a lot of people teach. Like a lot of people still are very like everybody's eyes are on me. Like if I think of how many times I sub and the kids are hardwired to the 1, 2, 3, I like.
They do that for subs.
Oh yeah,
I've never.
The kids are all trained. Yeah.
Oh, I've never had I don't know.
If you go in and you sub and you ask the kids what their attention getter is, they will all tell you exactly what it is. And for pretty much every class, it's one of those. Like they're used to constantly being focused on one spot all together at the same time.
I don't know who this Team Unicorn, whoever you are, come back here every Thursday, please. Drop it in the chat constantly. It's great. Sorry, Bradford, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the problem is we all know this, and Danielle, feel free to chime in because I know you and me probably have the same experience because I have preached on this so much in my area. I say these things, and James, I've said the same exact things, not with your exact program, But I talk about my daughter's experience, my son's experience. But the thing that holds most districts back, and Danielle, you can probably chime in on this, is that it's the minutes in our state. They say, okay, there's so many minutes that students have to be accounted for, and attendance, and this, and this, and this, and this. So then that whole asynchronous, synchronous stuff starts to fall down by the wayside. And so the plan that has to be created is all great, and with all the PD, it's all great, but then the state says you got to do this, and all of a sudden the attendance part comes in. I remember Danielle and I were talking, and she was explaining her plan, and I looked, and I was almost cussing in the office because I could not understand.
Which one? How to take attendance?
Yes, remember?
Oh,
and
it is still my longest task, but I have gotten like a pretty wicked system. So just so if anybody needs help.
I could not follow it. I could not follow it. But it's for some states, I know ours, it all boils down to that whole attendance thing. You got to be on here. And then now I'm hearing like some teachers, when they create videos, the videos are way too long. They're staying up all hours of the night, not even making like quality videos. They're just, I just got to put something up.
How could you make I mean, as a content creator, granted, I just live stream, but like if you have a background in YouTube and you're producing quality video content, that's not something that you do and expect to have an awesome video 5 days a week. Like,
so
and then not only that, but for every unit you teach.
Yeah.
But teachers aren't YouTubers. Like teachers don't really watch YouTube. Like if I mention Twitch to people, they're clueless about what it is. But one of our TechSF people is an assistant principal for a school with an older set of teachers. So he was concerned about the teachers engaging with students. So he reached out to some streamers and had them come do PD on how to engage with your audience. Yeah. And that is, I think, just, we have to understand we are not in control of our students' environments like we are at school. And to be user-focused at school where we control the environment is different than being user-focused when they're in a different environment. Like we've got to go to what they use and who they are and what engages them when they have an option, because they haven't.
I didn't know that
Roberto
person did that. Yeah,
but
how did that go?
Oh my gosh, he called me after and was like, "Oh my god, I gotta tell you this." I mean, I can't do his accent. It sounded much cooler when he said it.
But here's the thing is that we're all missing, and a lot of, Danielle, what you just said, what can we control, right?
Right.
Not very much.
There is not a lot we can control, but back to the esports component of this. For those, let's go, because I have sympathy for the collegiate coaches who see a study like that, who are running a varsity program. I have sympathy because, again, 50 million hats, very limited resources, but their ignorance can't be excused. So I'll say that to start. Here's where the fix is. Here's where I think the mindset change can be. If you're not being inclusive, ask yourself, what is the invitation? What invitation am I putting out there to invite people in? If you say, well, I do, I go out and I meet with girls groups, that's fine. But that doesn't necessarily, again, make them feel invited. That doesn't, I go to the LGBTQ center and hang out there and talk with their people. That doesn't make them feel invited. That isn't going to create situations or experiences that are going to make them feel invited.
And
we talk about the invitation to learning all the time. The struggles that a lot of kids are having right now in virtual learning environments, because, for example, they get up in the morning and their Wi-Fi is crappy, or their Chromebook doesn't start right, or they don't have food, or they're sharing it with 5 other people in their house. The invitation to learning, the invitation to esports, it all is what, if it's not working, or you're not seeing diversity, or you're not seeing inclusivity, what is the invitation you are putting out there, and how do you fix it? How do you address it? What do you need to make it work?
The general running thought in chat, which I completely agree with, is like, collaboration. Like if you've got your esports program and it's designed by a middle-aged man, you can be as inviting as you want. It doesn't mean that the environment that you've created actually is accommodating for people of other genders, other ethnicities, or other orientations. But if you start bringing those people in and you start having them change the space, you're going to create an environment that is genuinely representative of the people that have helped to build it. But that takes going out and doing that and finding those people that are going to come in and help you. And unfortunately, I think in the scholastic world, sometimes administrations aren't comfortable with that. Like not every school site will let a teacher come in. They want to know exactly how everything is going to be, and they want it all planned out. So saying, yeah, go ahead and do this. Oh, and my planning committee is going to be these 10 students. That might be a bit of an ask. So if you can't do that, then you should at least be making sure that your planning committee, if they're all adults, that it's equally diverse, that you're reaching out to people.
But again, that's the diversity problem that, again, with limited resources, some of these collegiate program leaders are told to be the director and the coach for several different games. Again, when you're told to do all of those things, what do you have time for? But again, it goes back to, how did your program even start? What were your goals coming out here? What did you want it to be? One of the biggest failures I've seen at collegiate esports has been Marquette University. Marquette is right up here in Milwaukee. I'm just south of them. They made a huge announcement about a year and a half ago about being the first Big East school that was going to take esports and be D1 varsity with esports. I'm like, cool. It's right here at Marquette. It's in Milwaukee. I'm going to go check it out. Go up there, find out they have no money. They made an announcement. They made a pitch, and they have no money. They have a space, but they have no money to build it out. And they gave it to a guy who oversees the basketball the media for women and men's basketball at the university. Now, Marquette is a basketball school. If there was one thing you wanted to talk about other than being Jesuits and lawyers, they're basketball. And it is something where he goes, I don't even have time for this. Like, he doesn't have time. So what do you think that program is going to look like?
So did they tell him, did they tell him you're doing this?
The president of the university basically handed it off.
So they told him he's coaching football, basketball, track, soccer, and the women's club Quidditch team. Basically, that's like when you hand it somebody multiple games and multiple things. That's like asking. They're not all the same. Not all the games are the same.
No, and to be honest, with the ask that is usually placed on new esports programs, if you're putting anybody in that position that isn't passionate about what they're doing, you're asking for trouble. Like, you gotta love it. If maybe you don't know everything about esports, but you at least gotta love gaming. Like, you have to come from a place of passion. Otherwise, you're not going to dig deeper, and you're going to hit that wall, and you're going to be like, yeah, well, there's the wall.
Maybe this will change as our students kind of grow up, because college coaches were high school coaches, and the high school coaches.
I don't think so.
You don't think that as we kind of age into some of the roles, like even we as I'm a real manager, might take over university programs when they are well funded. Like, I just think it's one of those, like, it'll change as more people are involved, like the same trope that I hate.
Well, it's going to take, look, I again, my program that I oversee, I have 12 general managers, 5 high schools, pay them $5,000 a pop because they earn that money. They earn it. If I wasn't paying them, I wouldn't get nearly the people I get. I wouldn't get the quality of people that I get. I wouldn't get the diversity of people that I get. I wouldn't have people fighting over for these positions. There's got to be funding. There's got to be resources. And fortunately, that's what motivates a lot. You can have passion, have that passion. Also get that dollar.
Yeah, you still need to get paid. Like in
Yeah.
the amount of hours that go into running
God.
and or creating a program is
Yeah.
huge. And if you're just getting that tacked onto what you're already doing as the Spanish teacher, no, you're not going to have the interest in it because you already
Right.
don't have time. You're the Spanish teacher, and now you've got this completely other huge, massive job that you're essentially not getting paid for.
Right.
It's just another title that's attached to you.
Right.
Like
And then
that's
it's attached to
not
the
okay.
teacher, not
Right.
the program. Like, Jim, you've got a program that
Mhm.
other people want to be in. It's not teacher dependent. And when a manager leaves, the program doesn't collapse because you've added
Right.
professionalism
Yeah.
to it. So I think
If-
that the money brings that level of professionalism where I
Mhm.
can do this even when I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
And my thing is, yes, you're going to get the money, but here's what I expect of you in order to get the money. So here are my guidelines. So here you're going to get $500 to $5,000, but these are my expectations in order for you to earn that money. At least that's how I know my program director is running it. So yeah, you're going to get this stipend, but I need for you to do these things. I said, perfect. You're going to do A, B, C, D, E. I need these qualifications. You're going to run it through this. You're going to do this, and this. If you don't do any of these things, then you're not going to get the extra stipend. So either you're in it or you're not. So yeah, but most people like what you're talking about, James, they get this ton of money. The president gives this ton of money. Well, I want this, and let's just fund it and let's keep it moving because I want to outbeat the other university over here. But they have no idea what they want. They just see the other university over here that has all the equipment. They see their team is knocking it out the park. They have no knowledge or understanding of what they're doing. They just know that, okay, they're the best, so we got to be the best. But they don't know how.
I'll throw my own community under the bus. Gateway Technical College. We did so much work to bring, because we wanted to make sure we had esports from RUSD to the technical college in our community, because a lot of our kids go there, right? Mm-hmm. We did a fantastic presentation for their board. We did a fantastic, taught them how to play Rocket League. It was great. We have fantastic pictures, kids from our school, Scholar Gamers being there, selling it. And then when it comes to planning, cutting us all out, just decide, here's the money, we have to move quickly. What do you mean you have to move quickly? And they built a space that was way too small, and now in the age of COVID is way too compressed. Yeah. There is no chance of us getting kids onto a college campus early because, again, it's very limited space. I said you could put this, build this like UCI has done and build it in the commons area where you have no students working currently. That way you can kind of spread out, have multiple, have the college kids come on to college campus. Nope. They put it in a little teeny room. And because just like you were saying, Bradford, the money was there, get it going. We have to do this now. Why? Because the money was there.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
And again, you become responsible forever for what you have tamed. So what have they done? They've taken the money and they've taken the initiative. They built it into a room that's tiny as hell. And it's disappointing. Yeah. Disappointing. We have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes. And I'm glad to see that Mike Russell has popped in. Hi, Mike. Good to see you here. And again, there's the Twitter chat or Twitch chat has been spicy tonight, but we also have been Miss Giannis, who's on here sometimes, saw that I also broadcast this over Periscope on Twitter. Gosh, I got it. I got to get my Twitch and my Twitters right. And we're also putting this out on YouTube. So there are multiple ways to engage in this if you're doing this. Are we doing karaoke tonight? Are we going to have the secret show, the show after the show? Well, there's no Jarrell here. So Jarrell's in chat. And yeah, no, we're not going to do the show within the show tonight. But final thoughts for tonight. Danielle, why don't you start?
If I can start a program, anybody can.
Bradford?
If you're going to start a program, don't expect, be mindful of how you're going to start it.
Have a purpose. Yeah.
Have a purpose.
Oh my God.
Better humans through gaming.
Telling these little stories. Here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Yes, that sound effect finally pays off. Miss Linden, Carrie Linden.
If you're starting to program, if you do your diversity inventory, like that number one step says to do, and you find that you are lacking, get in touch with the people that you are missing. I know sometimes there's pushback of like, the people that are part of the group aren't the people that should be helping you make your space more accommodating for them. I will say right now, if you need LGBTQ feedback or you need female feedback on a program, DM me. I am happy to have conversations with you about what is happening in the space. I am happy to help people, talk through what their program looks like and maybe help point out some areas that could be improved. I think just sort of sitting there, not having those conversations is dangerous, and it doesn't solve any of the issues that we're facing. So reach out. People are here.
And I think my final thought is in the chat. It is the Any Key study on diversity and inclusion. So if you have not looked that over, do seek that out. The link's a little wonky, so just look up Any Key diversity and inclusion. Read the study. Very important work. Carrie, Danielle, Bradford. We have another one that is in the books. Congratulations.
Ooh.
And thank you again for people who were in the chat
have
tonight who kept it spicy. I'm giving the winner tonight to Team Unicorn, Amanda. She wins the Twitch stream tonight. So she came in fire.
Are we doing trophies?
I mean,
Yes, sure. I don't have one to hand out.
This
though.
Beautiful thing that
I will give you this. Like, ooh, she gets the controller for the night. I don't know.
ooh, share your wakelet with me.
Oh, she has a wakelet?
Yeah, she has a wakelet. I saw that.
Oh, yeah. So Amanda, put it up into hashtag it esportsedu and Twitter, because I know you were on there earlier, and drop it in there if you wouldn't mind. That's it, everybody. Thanks again for checking in, and we will be back again next week.